before 1999, if you wanted to play a game with an awesome World War II experience, your options were pretty much limited. The only commonly known World War II themed FPS was Wolfenstein 3D, and this was more of an arcade game than an authentic experience. You know, Mecha Hitler. And this was on the PC. And sure, eventually console ports came, but a lot of them were just garbage. But during the production of Steven Spielberg's film Saving Private Ryan, Spielberg had a meeting with DreamWorks Interactive, discussing an idea he had of an authentic World War II first-person shooter. According to sources, allegedly, Spielberg got this idea for the game because of his interest with World War II and with his experiences with his son playing GoldenEye for the N64. So development started in 1997. And so with the success of Saving Private Ryan in 1998, people wanted to see anything World War II. Movies, documentaries, and yes, even video games. And unknown to most, an epic World War II FPS was already halfway through production by 1998. So on November 11, 1999, Veterans Day, Medal of Honor deployed for battle as a PS1 exclusive. It was developed by DreamWorks Interactive and published by EA. Believe it or not, Steven Spielberg actually wrote the story for Medal of Honor. Like, I know, right? Strange to see such a highly acclaimed film director write a story for a game, especially back when gaming still wasn't as mainstream as it is today. You play as an American OSS operative named James Stephen Patterson, who mainly focuses on espionage activities behind enemy lines. Missions vary from being disguised as a Nazi, sabotaging subs or missiles, to stealing important documents. Now, that's pretty much it for story. There's not much more to go there. You know, it was a PS1 game, and it wasn't an RPG or anything. It was an FPS. Story is pretty bare bones here, but that's not a bad thing. At least not for me. There's 7 missions total, and each mission is broken into 3 or 4 sub-missions. Each mission is going to have a group of objectives that you must complete to finish the actual level. The select button shows all your objectives and checks it off once completed. But make sure you complete all of them before getting to the end, because if you don't, the mission will end and you will have to replay it all over again. This system is terrible. The game punishes you if you don't complete all the objectives before getting to the end. I mean, seriously, if all the objectives aren't complete, then it shouldn't let you complete the damn level. The game should just restrict you from finishing until you complete all your tasks. But if you do happen to notice you missed one of your objectives, you can always just backtrack and find it. Level design is straightforward, but is designed in a way to let you explore. And in most cases, this is a must because of the objectives. In truth, every level is basically a series of hallways, but thanks to the level design, it doesn't feel like it most of the time. At points, you do have to explore. Now, graphics by today's standards are garbage, let's be honest. But for 1999, they were adequate enough for the PS1. Character models are low poly, but when it comes to the animation, it's still quite impressive. You can shoot them in the foot and they will start to bounce on one foot, or sometimes they will actually fall back and try to crawl away from you. And if you shoot their heads, sometimes their helmet will pop off. So shit, yeah, a lot of modern games don't even have animation this impressive. This being a PS1 game, the draw distances sucks. And unlike Silent Hill, it doesn't have a layer of fog to cover up all the pop-ins. But if that kind of shit bothers you, then why the fuck are you even playing a PS1 game? Actually, it's surprising how playable this still is today. Sure, if you weren't gaming in this era, there is a learning curve to the controls, because now we are used to the left stick being used for moving and strafing and the right stick for turning and aiming. Here it's the opposite. Left stick moves and turns and the right stick strafes. Or if you had a controller with no analog sticks, the D-pad controls moving and turning while the L1 and R1 are for strafing. I personally prefer the D-pad because it's easier to control than the left stick when it comes to aiming. You can fire from the hip, but this isn't very accurate. For accurate shots, you need to hold down R2 to bring up the crosshairs and aim with the left stick, and X shoots. Yeah, I know it sounds and it looks weird, but it works. Just trust me, it works. And I understood and adapted to the controls right from the get-go. You know, it's very simple to pick up and play. Now, of course, these controls would feel horrible on a fucking modern shooter, but since the whole game is designed around these controls, it works. The enemies also use these same controls. They stop and they line up their shots before firing. So even when there's multiple enemies on screen, you never really feel at a disadvantage. All the weapons feel great to use, and all are modeled authentically. Unlike other shooters, I actually used more than one gun. There's no reason to limit yourself. Outdoors, use a rifle. Large group of enemies, use the SMG. You're in tight close quarters, bust out the fucking boomstick. AI is impressive. They will run and take cover and adjust themselves if need be. But with a little skill and patience, you know, they're going down. But you know, if you do decide to play like, I don't know, a jackass, then yeah, they will drain your health like no one's business. There's a decent amount of health kits around the map to the point where I never was worried about my health, for the most part. First couple of missions are a breeze, but later stages start to equip enemies with bazookas, and this is where it can be fucking frustrating. One shot from a bazooka and you're dead, which makes sense, but from gameplay it kind of sucks because that means you're starting the whole stage again from the very start. On an emulator, this is solved by save states, but on the original PS1, you're shit out of luck. You see a bazooka, just start strafing your ass off. Soundtrack is quite good, especially with the stages with ambient noise like the one in the sewers. Medal of Honor was designed to be authentic, so because of that, weapons are modeled authentically and all the weapons sound accurate. There's a real crunch to the weapons that I just adore. If there's anything I will complain about, it is the missions where you are disguised and you have to constantly show identification. I know some people love these, but I find them so boring and slow. I hate having to show multiple people my ID again and again and again and again. I must point out, where the whole game is a great experience, the last mission is short and very lackluster. It was extremely disappointing to end a game on a mission like that. That just fucking sucks. But that aside, it really shows DreamWorks Interactive put a lot of effort into this title. But the title we have now is much different than the one showed in the beta trailer before. In the original trailer, there are some key differences, but the biggest one being blood and gore. The enemies' bodies could be blown apart and blood would spray all over the place. And now this looks fucking awesome and would have pushed the authenticity even further. But for whatever reason, it was removed. It's a shame though, because that feature is what I loved about Call of Duty World at War. The game was visceral thanks to the blood and gore, and World War II was an extremely visceral war, so it just feels right for it to be included. Medal of Honor came out during a time where FPSs on consoles weren't common or even very good compared to their PC counterparts. But even with the limitations of the PS1, it doesn't stop Medal of Honor from being a great FPS. Medal of Honor grew into a popular series and kick-started the World War II and military FPS genre, but now it seems to be forgotten by most modern gamers. Nobody seems to mention this series with the likes of Call of Duty or Battlefield at all anymore. And that's a shame, because I actually still think most of the games in the series are really good. But Medal of Honor is the game that blew up the genre, and is the reason games like Call of Duty and Battlefield even exist today. Sure, it shows its age, but I had a blast throughout the whole game. It took me around 5.5 hours to complete, and if you can get past that it's a PS1 game with odd controls and low polygon graphics, you're just going to have a great time here. I highly recommend it to anyone that loves the PS1 or World War II games or just FPSs in general. Medal of Honor is truly a PS1 classic and deserves to be in your library.